Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is David Brooks, the Cadillac Counselor, coming at you to tell you a piece of my mind, but more about, not about my mind today. We're going to find more about Allison Medrano. She's put her name in the hat out of the 17 people. I've never seen this many people running, so it must be something up for grabs. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody had the opportunity to get their voice heard, all on the same platform, so that nobody has to go out and vote without being informed. And so I'm not going to waste any more time. If you want to go subscribe, go do that, because we're going to have some more videos coming in the future with the kind of grouping some of the candidates together to kind of hear their opinions with other candidates to be able to speak also. So I'm not going to talk anymore. Allison, this is time for you. So tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you, David, so much for doing this. I am a parent, first and foremost, of 5 kids who went through the Frederick County school system, 2 of whom were non-English speakers when they first started. So at the time when my kids were going, we had West Frederick and Frederick. They were the ESL schools. So, and we were in the Urbana feeder pattern. So I had 5 kids in 5 different schools: elementary, middle, high, and then West Frederick and Frederick High. Very interesting. And it was kind of cool to see the way different schools handled things. And so one of the things that I think is great is that it's no longer just the ESL schools, and now it's more in all of the schools. That's good to see, because the kids felt a little disconnected from the people around them, and they were new to the country, new to English, and then were sent to a school that didn't have anyone that they knew. But they made friends. It was great. Love it. And so I do have a perspective that's this dual cultural, bilingual perspective on things. And I want to see the schools compete on a world stage, because I think, I go to other countries and I see how well they speak English, and it's not always the same here. Although there are a lot of different cultures in the schools. So I also own a lawn care company, and which is a lot of fun. I have a lot of Frederick County customers, and we also go down into Montgomery County, and have some animals in my house, and a cat may jump on me at some point. It's hard to tell. But so I'm running for the school board.
So it sounds to me that you're not a politician, that you're just a citizen that's trying to put your name in the hat to make some changes. Is that what
I'm
I'm
not a politician. It's interesting, though, and I've been laughed at a little bit by people who know me. I went to, in college, my major was political science, but I have never used that. And so now it's like, bring my poli-sci out. But some people they think it's funny that, all these years later. But I have worked as a substitute teacher, and I was in Montgomery County many years ago, and as a Spanish teacher. And then I have worked with the Arc of Frederick County as a job coach, and that's tons of fun. I did that up until COVID came along. It made it really hard. And special needs has been a passion of mine since I was a teenager. And I didn't have any, well, my kids are somewhere on the spectrum, but it's just been a passion of mine. So I want to see, and I know that there have been some issues, and that's just, it's something that needs to be addressed and taken into consideration.
Very good,
Yeah.
very good. So we can start talking about that issue. I mean, we've been in the news, we've been criticized. People have been looking at our school with a fine-tooth comb, especially in the special ed department. What do you think needs to be fixed in order to keep us out the news?
Well, I think that there needs to be training on all levels in education and awareness. because we have kids, some kids being put into classrooms with other kids, and there's not an understanding of why certain things are happening. I think that happened with my kids, didn't know why certain kids were in their classroom. And as someone who's so passionate, I tried to explain, but it just wasn't. And then the teachers need training, and families and the special needs kids too need to be included in this entire conversation, because it's their lives and they need to understand, they need to be helped along to understand where they fit in with everything, instead of just feeling different. And that's one of my big things, is to try to allow people to feel accepted for who they are and not different. And if they feel different, they might act out in a certain way. And so, and it's very hard. It's a hard issue. It's not like it's simple. It's not like there's a cookie cutter reply for any of it. And when you're faced with the situation, you make a decision in that moment, and it's not going to always be seen really well. So accountability on all levels. Teachers need to understand that there is a need for accountability. They can't just do something, but also just the entire community needs to be in on the conversation.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. When I was running, I was hearing from a lot of Spanish speaking and citizens where they kind of felt that they were kind of disconnected from the public school system. And
Okay.
so, with that, I think communication is a big
Yes.
problem. And so, what could you bring to the table to help with communication, especially to not just the Spanish speaking, but just to all parents?
Yes, I know it is a lot of times, especially when there is a family that comes and their English is not their first language, they'll rely on their kids to kind of translate for them and fill them in on what's going on. And so they're not getting the information firsthand. And so it would be an effort to get the information into their hands directly, and we could have things translated into multiple languages. Nowadays, I'm telling you, man, Google Translate is really light years from where it used to be. You used to put something into Google Translate and it just got it all kinds of wrong, and now we could rely on things like that to help us, so that it's taking the burden off of the children a little bit and bringing those parents into the conversation directly. Um, Whether it's a hotline where you could call and it's translated into your language, or just different forms of communication to find out first and stuff like that, so that they could really understand what's going on. And I think communication in general is a really big, whether it's the language you already speak or a different language, communication is key. And a lot of things are just not getting well communicated. And that is it is something that we're going to have to address. I went to a board meeting. I was going to take things from special ed and language, but to the redistricting. It was about redistricting. And the board itself just admitted that they had not gotten the word out well enough. They did it in one of their meetings that was more like a workshop meeting and not in a general meeting. And so a lot of the parents that were going to be affected were not there. And so that key thing of communicating, because when your kids are in school and like some decisions made, and you don't really, you feel like, it's being made without you and you don't matter, it's just very disheartening, and you want to feel connected, and you want to be involved. And not everyone can be in the classroom with the kids. I was lucky enough that I could be in the classroom a lot with my kids, helping out, being there. Not everyone can do that. People have to work. Things are expensive. And so trying to get the information into their hands, and we have newsletters, we have Find Out First, we have Facebook pages, so finding the right thing to click with that family is the key overall.
Okay. Um, a lot of people are talking about classroom sizes,
Hmm.
that they're just getting too big. And you were talking about Montgomery County, and we're seeing so many people moving up through 270, entering into Frederick County. Um, how could you bring some of what your experience to figure out what we can do to either reduce class sizes or bring in new teachers or build new schools? How do you think we can solve that problem?
Well, I was one of those people 25 years ago. Came right from Germantown, and yes, so there's some interesting things. There's the idea that maybe, yeah, we probably need more schools. Maybe we could have smaller schools. I was just having a conversation today about not building these ginormous buildings. And we just went through a pandemic, and that's a lot of people in one building. And so, and plus it's a huge capital outlay. So, do we do some smaller things that are maybe more akin to the charter or that kind of thing, but are accessible as well? Um, we need to raise more money. We need to figure out what's going on with some of the money that was supposed to be earmarked for education and has possibly gone other places, like ways that the state was saying they were going to raise money, and then it was supposed to be earmarked for education and it wasn't, because yeah, the class sizes are, I mean, how do you handle a disruption at the back of your classroom when you've got 40 kids in the room? I don't know. Being a teacher right now seems so incredibly hard because you're being attacked, and you're being what I feel is misrepresented in a lot of ways, and you're being expected to do this. You have what you do in the classroom, and then you have to also grade, you have to fill in forms, you have to do all kinds of things, and then you have 40 kids that you're doing that for. Or as a language teacher, it wasn't just 40. Well, every teacher, it's not just 40,
Every,
it's that period you have 40, then that period. And so yeah, it's funding, it's it's educating people as to what is needed, it's buildings, it's transportation, and on every level, in order to compete the way the blueprint wants us to compete on a world stage, we have to raise everyone up, and so I guess we're going to get more revenue because we have more people living here, and they're going to pay their property taxes, and they're going to pay for things on the local level. But then on the other hand, the state is saying, oh, well, you guys are so wealthy, you don't need as much money. It's like,
can't
hold
win
on.
or lose.
Yeah. So there's so much advocacy that needs to be done to bring it here and to keep it here and to make the jobs attractive to people to want to work in the county as well, and to show, because we are awesome here. Frederick County is amazing, and we have so much to offer, and we could be keeping it all here, and we could be this shining example to the rest of the state. But don't treat us like we're like too good to get they're going to take money away from us. So yeah, I just think educating on every level and advocating, and it's very exciting to think of what we can do here.
Very good. There's been a lot of conversation that some parents are just not really happy with the direction that our schools are headed. They feel like they should be able to deal with a lot of the moral issues that are going on in school and teaching their own children about how they perceive the world to be. And gender has been a major part of that. And how do you feel about bringing the gender conversations into the school, and how can we do a good job of explaining or teaching children about differences in gender equalities?
Well, that's a very hard topic, and I know it's very heavily charged with a lot of feelings. Personally, I have a non-binary child, so it's very, very near and dear to my heart. I accept my child for who they are. They're insanely brilliant. Now, this child is now in college. So I think that it's important to allow people to be who they are, and possibly you leave. I mean, I don't know that I really think that we need to be just going out and talking about it. A lot of little children don't think a lot about what's going on that level. They're just trying to get through the day and to learn what a pencil sharpener does, and to, you know, my thing when I was a little kid was just standing in line, and, if somebody got out of line and then tried to butt in front of me, that was a big deal because that was a big rule follower. All I wanted to do was follow the rules. And so I wasn't thinking about too much other than that. But there is also reality out there. The kids will experiment and do things. It's just human nature. It's who we are. So it's not out of the realm of the possible that we have discussions about that. I mean, probably when I was growing up, certain things might have been different if I had known different rules for what's okay and what's not okay. And, what's a, I don't want to say, but like, I think it's appropriate to have discussions with children. They are paying attention more than people give them credit for. They really know what's going on. So I don't believe in taking books away from them. If they want to take something out of the library, I fully support that. I think that parents can have discussions with their kids about what they're reading. I think that's fully appropriate. And if they don't agree with it, then they have a discussion with their child about why I don't agree with that. And I this is why. And I think explaining why is important, and not just ripping it out of someone's hand, because we all want to understand, because then you're just left with a feeling of, what did I do wrong? I did something wrong. And I'm just curious.
I
Yeah.
got you.
You
Um,
understand what I'm saying?
I understand. I understand. It's we have a lot going on within these children, and
Yes.
you've expressed a lot of great points. But there's 17 people running.
Yes.
How are you going to, separate yourself and say, you know what, out of the 6 people in the primary that are running, I should be voted for because of, and let the people know why they should pick you as one of their 6.
Okay. Well, I'm very passionate about inclusivity in the schools and finding a way for people to not have to worry about being bullied or feeling othered. And that is across the board. If you are a special needs student, or if you are a non-binary student, or if you are someone who traditionally would have been, you know, not having to worry about your place in the world, and now suddenly feel like you do worry about your place in the world. What is my place in the world? And having opportunities for everyone. I think that inclusivity needs to be across the board. And maybe, there are a lot of there've been a lot of advances for certain groups, and we need to make sure that we're not leaving anyone behind. So I'm an advocate for that. I'm very passionate about feeling like you have a place at the table. And then I know that I would ask a lot of questions. I wouldn't want to simply vote along with something because I would want to look into things and not just like if a budget comes up for a vote, not just, rubber stamp it, but look into each of the things that they're advocating for and where they want to put the money and why. And what else? And I just have a basic desire for people to be happy and for people to feel free to kind of explore the world and find their place in it. And I think education is really, it will open doors for them. I really believe in a quality education. All of my kids were educated in Frederick County public schools, and I love them, and I love what the teachers did. And they have specific teachers that they remember, and they really make a difference in the kids' lives. And I think that it's important for the teachers to know that. I want the teachers to feel valued. I want the support staff to feel valued. And I want different communities to feel valued. And there have been discussions about different holidays and stuff like that. I think that that's fantastic. I think learning about different cultures and different traditions is wonderful. And we have a lot to be grateful here in Frederick County. I live in cow country, so just making sure that our farmers are taken care of and appreciated, as well as the people in the city. And I will be an advocate for the students and the staff, and I will fight for a quality education for Frederick County to remain as high up there as we can be.
Well, I thank you very much for coming in and popping in. I hope it wasn't too bad. I mean, you did a good job expressing your thoughts and your feelings, and I just wish you the best of luck on your
Thank you,
road.
David. Thank you so much, David. Really appreciate what you're doing.
Hey, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.